Welcome to SAT TV News. I am Alicia George. In our top stories, Tourism Minister says improvement made in air access. Tourism grows in Haiti as authorities plan further development. Boko Haram still holding Nigerian schoolgirls captive. And in sports, Digital Augusta's Gregoire Premier League kicks off. Details of these will follow.
The wheel of change is here at SAT. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAT customers simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.
Introducing the Ashley collection at Quartz. Quartz has joined with Ashley Furniture, the #1 selling home furnishings brand in America, to bring you the most extraordinary furniture selection at unbeatable prices. It's now easier than ever before to find that perfect furniture piece for your home. And what's more, you can add that special touch with the right accent piece from our range of designer accessories from Ashley. Create the perfect look for your home with the Ashley collection at Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home. Visit the new Ashley Gallery at our Roseau store.
Welcome back. High-level officials from across the OECS met in Dominica to host the opening ceremony of the 12th meeting of the OECS Council of Tourism Ministers. Each year, ministers from across the OECS meet to discuss the impacts of their collective tourism industries in a bid to strengthen the sector. Speaking during the ceremony, suitably hosted at the Atlantic View Resort and Spa in Amsterdam, Tourism Minister Honorable Ian Douglas highlighted that better access solutions are needed on the island.
We are one of the few islands, as you all know, where greater than 50% of our visitors come from the Caribbean region. And so access by ferry, especially from our French islands of Guadeloupe and Martinique, is critical. Intra-regional air access is just as important to bring to our shores not only the residents of our fellow OECS member states and CARICOM that wish to visit for us in Dominica for our many festivals like Carnival and the World Creole Music Festival, but for onward connections for our international visitors.
Douglas went on to say that Dominica is not as yet fortunate to have direct long-haul flights, but pointed out that efforts are being made to resolve the problem, recognizing that Dominica has numerous international airports servicing our needs.
Today, one can land in Dominica up to 10 o'clock at night. We recognize that there is a need for much more development in this regard. Travel both by sea and air is important to all of us as small island states of the OECS. We need then to address all issues compounding travel throughout the region and put the necessary systems in place to facilitate movement of our citizens and also of our visitors.
According to the minister, LIAT is an important contributor to improving air access to the island, which was what prompted the government to become shareholders in the airline. Additionally, Douglas is of the belief that immigration procedures implemented in the name of national security are in fact barriers to entry and free movement in and within the sub-region.
Another of these initiatives are the implementing of the UNWTO methodology for tourism satellite accounting as part of the 10th EDF. We are confident that this methodology of gathering tourism-related statistics and accounting for it in the national accounts will show the true value of tourism, not only here in Dominica, but in the region. And from those results, we will be able to justify increased budgets to our ministries of finance.
Up to recently, the Ministry of Agriculture's most dreadful fight was against the spread of the black Sigatoka disease and its effect on the banana industry here in Dominica. However, a recent release by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has been advising countries to be on guard against the introduction of deadly fusarium wilt disease, commonly known as tropical race4, TR4, or Panama disease.
This is a more potent and more dangerous disease. It's a fungal soil-borne disease What that means, it can stay in the soil for decades. With black sigatoka, we can put a management system in place to manage the disease. Use chemicals, fungicide to manage the disease. With this risk for diffusion wilt, there's no cure, there's no chemical that can manage that disease.
The Ministry of Agriculture, along with Plant Protection and Quarantine Unit officials, has therefore expressed serious concerns as they face the possibility of this disease invasion.
It is classified as a quarantine pest, which means it has serious economic implication for not only Dominica, but the entire growing countries of banana and plantain. What is important to note about the disease is once it enters into your country, it can stay in the soil for a number of years. So there will be no production. The Ministry of Agriculture, through the Plant Quarantine Division, will quarantine the area. So there will be no banana and plantain production in that area for some years.
The disease has already spread from Asia to Africa and the Middle East and is now menacing the Americas.
We, in the Ministry of Agriculture, what we have to do right now is to develop an emergency action plan together with the Caribbean and CARICOM to prevent. So the first strategy would be to prevent the entry of the disease. That would be the first measure that we have to take. But Dominica can't do it alone. We have to work together, Latin America and the Caribbean, to put quarantine strategies in place to prevent the disease from entering the shore.
The disease can enter onto the island through human contact, via water, and by transportation of infested material from the infected plants. Persons, particularly hucksters and travelers, are being urged to wash out their shoes and disinfect their clothing when in suspected areas of the disease. During the Dominica Association of Teachers DAT 12 Biennial Conference held on April 23rd, 4 retired teachers were recognized for their years committed to education service. The conference, administered under the theme Enhancing Education Through Technology, the Educator's Role, awarded Patrick Jeffers, Mali J. Baptiste, Corina Laville, and Melina Sylvain. Mali J. Baptiste served as a teacher for 39 years and was the principal of the Roosevelt Douglas Primary School in Portsmouth. Corina Laville, who was described as a stalwart of the Dominica Association of Teachers by DAT Public Relations Officer Juanita Carbon, served as an educator for 40 years, retiring as principal of the Warner Primary School. Patrick Jeffers was also recognized for his contributions.
I think all teachers who have followed the Dominica Association of Teachers Summer Workshop know you as the AIDS man. Mr. Patrick Jeffers was very instrumental in formulating the policy booklet on AIDS and HIV for education. And this booklet has been accepted throughout Dominica, the Caribbean, and even North America.
Jeffers had been an educator for 36 years and retired at the Soufriere Primary School. The fourth recipient, Melina Sylvain, was awarded for the 36 years she served as a teacher and principal. She retired as the principal of Thibault Primary School. Meanwhile, DAT President Celia Nicholas was saluted by the Status of Women Committee for her invaluable service to the organization and the teaching. A minute of silence was also observed in remembrance of 6 teachers: Aisha Mack, Clifford Albert, man himself, Freddie Menz, Imelda Dejean, Brenda Dodds Baptist, Charles Gregoire, and Theodora Mamie Jo Joseph, who recently passed away. Miss Dominica Francine Barron has left for St. Martin, where she will take to the stage for her first regional competition since her crowning. The Discover Dominica Authority, through Dominica Festivals Committee, along with Team Francine, have been preparing the beauty for her participation in Miss PDJ 2 2014 Caribbean Pageant, scheduled to take place on Sunday, 27th April 2014. Barron left Dominica on Tuesday, April 22nd, well prepared to take part in the 19th anniversary of the event, administered under the theme Confidence, Beauty, and Respect. The competition comprises of 4 categories: native, costume, swimwear, talent, and the evening wear segments. Prizes will be awarded for Miss Personality, Amity, Photogenic, and Congeniality, along with Best Evening Wear, Talent, and Miss Confidence, among others. Northeast Funeral Association, NEFA, held their 31st annual general meeting on April 24, 2014, placing importance on their humble beginnings. NEFA was established in 1983 by Mr. Richard St. Amy and Mrs. Juliana St. Amy as a friendly society with an objective to ensure all Dominicans receive a decent and respectable funeral at death.
We started with one man, but since then we have grown to be an organization that covered the entire island. We provide every funeral service you can think about, from the removal to the final resting place, covering transportation, refrigeration, preparation, embalming services. We do one-on-one consultation with individuals. We do educational addresses as well, and we ensure that people's needs are met.
St. Amy believes NEFA is more than a funeral home and contributes to cost reduction and family enhancement. She believes that the reason the business has thrived is due to its relationship with its customers.
Our business survives because we are people's persons, in that we meet people on the ground. We go from house to house talking to people. We are not isolated. We organize our organization based on what persons have to say, comments and feedback. So based on that, we think our strength is in our customers. Our strength is with our members. And because of that, we are continuing to grow to higher heights.
St. Amy said that staff training is very important to the institution.
We train staff because we believe if you train and you educate staff, they can fit in any angle. Say for instance, all our staff are qualified first aiders. All our staff can do program designing. All our staff can speak to people one-on-one when it comes to grief and the process of grief. So we train our staff in every area, in every angle when it comes to Northeastern.
St. Amy encourages everyone to support the association so that it can continue to give back to society. And in court news, 2 men who were recently charged in connection with a drug bust that took place in the south of the island last week had 3 new charges brought against them in a magistrate court on Thursday, 24th April 2014. 49-year-old Anthony Aki of Lagos, Portsmouth, is accused of departing Dominica on an open-keel boat named Slick on 13th April 2014 without permission. A second charge stated that on 16th April 2014, Aki failed to give notice to the Comptroller of Customs 24 hours prior to the arrival of that boat. Aki pleaded not guilty to the charges. A joint charge was also instituted against Aki and 55-year-old Raphael Pompey of St. Vincent with fraudulent invasion and importation of certain goods, namely cannabis. Because the offense was indictable, the men were not required to plead. Both men have been on remand since they appeared before a Roseau magistrate on Thursday, 17th April 2014, charged with possession of cannabis, possession with intent to supply cannabis, importation of cannabis, possession of cannabis resin, possession with intent to supply 2,724 grams of cannabis resin, and importation of cannabis resin. The men were arrested when members of the drug squad unit of the police force conducted an anti-drug operation in Scott's Head about 8 a.m. on Wednesday, April 16, 2014. The drug has an estimated street value of over $680,000. The prosecution, who had objected to bail then on grounds that both men were flight risks, particularly Aki, who was a boat captain, maintained their grounds of objection in court today. Magistrate Candia George, after listening to both the defense counsel and the prosecution, said she would not be opening bail at this juncture. The matter has been adjourned to 9th October 2014. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.
The wheel of change is here at SAS. New and exciting rewards just for you. Support customers simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with Sat TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from Sat TV, the people's choice. Sat terms and conditions apply.
Taking care of my family is important to me. Appliances from Quartz makes it a lot easier. So come in today and get this Mabe 30-inch cooker for $1,699 cash or $20 weekly. Whirlpool washer for $2,299 cash or $27 weekly. Don't wait. At Quartz, you get the world's best brands at the best prices. I love that, and you will too. Quartz, bringing value home.
In our top regional stories, Haiti attracted 20% more tourists last year following targeted efforts by the Haitian government to have tourism central to its development and job creation strategy as the Caribbean country's leadership struggles to lift millions out of poverty. According to figures released by the Caribbean Tourism Organization, CTO, the number of tourists who visited Haiti in 2013 grew to reach 420,000, representing a 20.2% increase compared to previous figures. In addition, more than 660,000 cruise ship passengers stopped for a day on the Northern Seaside Tourist Facility in Labadie. Efforts are also underway to develop on the southern island of Île La Vache an ambitious tourism project that will cost several $100 million. In more regional news, 3 cases of mosquito-borne disease chikungunya have been confirmed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a senior health official told the Caribbean Media Corporation on Thursday. The confirmation comes less than 12 hours after a video was posted on the internet in which a woman from Paget Farm in the northern Grenadine island of Bequia said she and 3 other members of her family had been diagnosed with the disease. In the video, other residents displayed symptoms such as rashes and joint pains. Last Thursday, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Louis Deschamps, issued 2 separate news releases saying there were no confirmed cases of the virus in the country, contrary to reports circulated orally and via social media. And on the international scene, Boko Haram kidnappers are still holding 187 girls captive more than a week after the Islamists abducted them from their dormitories in northeastern Nigeria, according to school and government officials. The figure is much higher than the one earlier released by authorities. Borno State Education Commissioner Musa Kubo confirmed the numbers released and sought to explain the discrepancies in figures provided by the government and the school. There was break in communication which resulted in a lack of coordination, as a result of which different figures were provided, Kubo said. Sports is next, so stay tuned.
The wheel of change is here at SAT. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAT customers simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with Sat TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from Sat TV, the people's choice. Sat terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Holland. Welcome to the country of the world's most famous cows. This is where your Dutch lady milk comes from. Taste our nature at its best. Dutch Lady. Discover the goodness of milk from Holland.
Thank you for staying tuned. In the Digicel Augustus Gregoire Premier League, scheduled to take place from Saturday 26 to 27 April 2014, New India Cavaliers will take on Nagico Northern Stars at the Benjamin Park in Portsmouth, while Desiderata Tremors go head-on with Marina Blasters at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. Also on Saturday 26 April, in the Fort Young Hotel DCA Intermediate League, Sunrise Cottages Sunrise will compete against Starlights at the Botanic Gardens, while Marino Evergreen will take on CPR Grassroots at Point Michelle. That same day, Reuben Bakery Christian will battle DCA Ladies in Dupla. The Windward Islands Cricket Board of Control is pleased to announce its team to participate in the 2014 Regional Under-15 tournament. The team is Obadel Joseph, Sherman Lewis, Jaron Noel, and Captain Joanne Jeremiah from Grenada, Dane Edward, Kimani Milius, Simeon Gerson, and Vice Captain Jonil Eugene from St. Lucia, Daniel Dupini, Micah Joseph, Taj Tavernier, and Jason Alexander will represent Dominica, while Ernell Thomas and Alistair Shallow represent St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On Wednesday, 23rd April, La Plaine B-Ball Avengers edged out Carrie FM Old School 57-56 in a nail-biting finish. Game 2 Premier Division United Insurance Sharks gave the Super Eagles of Peebush a bite, defeating them 79-74 in a thriller. In the upcoming game, scheduled for Thursday, 24th April, Salisbury Shanks Juggernauts will take on Sportsmark's Young Ballers from 7 p.m., while E.H. Charles Crossover will battle Spartan United Ballers from 9 p.m. Now for today's history. On this day in 2003, Winnie Mandela, the former wife of Nelson Mandela, was convicted of fraud and theft by a regional court in Pretoria, South Africa. She was sentenced to 5 years in prison and was charged with running fraudulent schemes to obtain about US $125,000 in bank loans and insurance payments. We now join the Dominica Met Office for today's weather report.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to tonight's weather. I'm your presenter, Marshall Alexander. Let's begin by taking a look at some earlier visible satellite imagery, where we can see a few patches of low-level clouds moving across the central and southern portion of the island chain. This resulted in partly cloudy to cloudy skies, which we experienced throughout today. Now, taking a look at radar imagery confirms a few spotty showers off the east coast of Dominica and across the island of Martinique during the earlier part of the day, and there was a gradual drying out of the atmosphere as the day progressed. Tonight's weather is expected to be fair to occasionally cloudy and hazy, with winds coming from the southeast near 30 kilometers per hour, with temperatures on the coast down to 24 degrees Celsius and 20 degrees Celsius in the interior. Tomorrow's conditions, fair to occasionally cloudy and hazy, with winds coming from the southeast 30 kilometers per hour, and temperatures up to 31 degrees Celsius on the coast and 27 degrees Celsius in the interior. Sea conditions are expected to be slight to moderate, with swells up to 5 feet. Fair to partly cloudy skies expected throughout the 3-day period, with some morning showers expected. Temperatures expected to peak near 31 degrees Celsius throughout the 3-day period, with winds coming from the southeast to east between 35 to 30 kilometers per hour. Now let's take a look at conditions for the rest of the Caribbean, beginning in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Despite an increasing cloudiness across the southern portion of the island chain, the islands expected to remain relatively dry, with fair to partly cloudy skies expected throughout the central and northern portion of the Lesser Antilles. Temperatures expected to range between 29 to 31 degrees Celsius throughout. Our international cities forecast: partly cloudy skies expected in New York, Caracas, and Beijing, with some thunderstorms expected in Miami and some showers expected in London. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:45 a.m. and sunset at 6:22 p.m. For more information, you can contact us using the information given below. Call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit our website at www.weather.gov.dm. Do join us tomorrow for another weather broadcast. Have a good night.
Our thanks to the Met Office for that report. Now for the thought of the day. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Nelson Mandela. That's the thought of the day, and this takes us to the end of our newscast for the evening. When we return, a recap of the headlines.
Welcome to Holland. Welcome to the country of the world's most famous farmers. This is where your Dutch lady milk comes from. Taste our nature at its best. Dutch Lady. Discover the goodness of milk from Holland.
The wheel of change is here at SAT. New and exciting rewards just for you. SAT customers simply pay your bill and get the new Loyalty Plus plan for free. That's 26 channels absolutely free for a limited period. Yes, you heard me, free. And if you do pay your bill, you'll have a chance to win big with SAT TV. Up to $15,000 in prizes are up for grabs. 7-inch tablets, BlackBerry smartphones, food vouchers, and much, much more. Get more from SAT TV, the people's choice. SAT terms and conditions apply.
And now for a recap of the headlines. Tourism Minister says improvement made in air access. Tourism growth in Haiti as authorities plan further development. Boko Haram still holding Nigerian schoolgirls captive. And in sports, Digicel Augustus Gregoire Premier League kicks off. You have been watching SAT TV News. We thank you for joining us, and we invite you to join us again tomorrow for another newscast. On behalf of SAT TV's news production team, I am Alicia George, wishing you a pleasant evening. Feel free to send your queries and comments to news@sat.dm. You can also join us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SatTelecoms or follow us on Twitter at www.twitter.com/SatTelecoms. Remember, SAT Telecoms is the people's choice, and SatNet, a better choice.